Well,
Well,
that was
go for it. Yeah. That that was a mishap. Hey,
And thank you for having patience, Dave.
I know.
That's right.
Thank you.
I deal with Globers all day long, so I have lots of patience.
There we go. We already
Let's get it.
started. Oh my god. I forgot to bring a globe. I have one. I should have spin it,
Yeah, I
but
know.
Their globes are beautiful. I have one if you need one. I can show you one. I have one behind me.
Hey Dave. Hey, thank you for being the show. My name is Julio,
My name is Robert.
and we are so happy to have you here because in this topic has been going on for years, and it's a big debate
Oh yeah.
whether the Earth is flat or round, and we're gonna get into that today.
And you know, and in all respect, you know, I even though I don't agree with that the earth is flat, but I still have respect for you and what you do. And like I was telling Julio that I'm a free thinker believer. I think
Okay.
everything should be, the fact that you're doing it, and you're saying it, hey, no idea is a bad idea. We determine whether it's a good idea or not. I just happen to disagree with your idea.
You know what?
But
I want to tell you something about flat earthers. We all were wrong. We all thought the earth was a globe, but we were able to change our mind based on new information. Today, I'm going to give you some new information. Hopefully, you can
okay,
analyze it. Again, don't believe anything I say. You got to verify all the things I say. But
exactly.
I'm going to
Yep.
show you the proofs. I'm going to show you where to find the proofs. I'm going to make it easy for you so you don't have to do all the work because nobody wants to do the work. That's why they're globers because they believe. Belief is the enemy of knowing. Knowing takes time and effort and critical thinking. So, um, you guys can start, or I just got a question for you, Robert.
Okay.
What's your
Ask the
best
question.
reason that you think the Earth is a globe?
Well,
Something that's
for
exclusive to the globe.
okay. So I have a neighbor, and his there was one moment that I wanted to buy a boat, right? And my neighbor tells me, "Hey, Robert, I have a neighbor that's retired, and he lives in the ocean. Like he spent a million and some change to buy himself a decent sized yacht sailboat." And he, long story short, I talked to him and I asked him that question. I was like, "Hey, I've been seeing a lot lately that there's people that believe the earth is flat. You that sells, what do you think?" And he told me straight up he went through uh by Chile. That's where he met his wife too, in this voyage that he took. And he confirmed to me that, yeah, the earth is round. He showed me pictures, videos
What did he show
where
you?
the
What did he
Pacific
show you?
Ocean, where he basically, he has a video where he's going and he's pointing out where Antarctica is. And, he goes all the way. He's basically said he didn't change, he didn't deviate. He kept going, and he winded up in Australia. Then he went back to Chile, and then he stayed in Chile.
How's
And
that?
so he told,
How's that exclusive to? I don't understand how that's exclusive to a globe.
because if the Earth is flat, he wouldn't end up in
Where
Australia, right?
where did he leave from?
He was going from New Jersey. He passed Chile. He went
On a
towards
boat. On a
Australia
boat.
on a good sized yacht, like the one you're showing right now.
Okay.
Something similar like that.
So
Yeah, it's pretty big.
yeah, so let's just take a look at here, where can I show you? The easiest place would be here. Go back to the app. I just want to understand what your proof is. So I'm just going to pull up a map. And so he's in
Correct.
where
Yeah,
did he leave from? New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Okay, so
Yeah,
he's
and he
here. And where'd he
followed.
go?
He followed along South America.
So he went all the way around
Uh,
here.
yeah,
He went
and
down
as he was
around
going,
the tip here,
correct.
and then he went
Yep.
straight across to
Yep.
Australia.
Correct.
Welcome to
And
Flat.
then then Australia, he went all the way back to Chile.
The same way?
The same way. Yes.
So
He kept that
look,
same direction.
so we're on a flat lake here, and we're just going, goes around here. This is some dangerous waters here. Around here,
Yeah, that's what he said. Yep.
and then back to New Jersey. Welcome to flat.
Well, no. He went past Australia. He made his mission to try to see if the Earth was round.
So he went all the way
And
around the world.
yes.
Okay,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so he went basically west and ended up
Correct. He just stayed west.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so that's
And
called
the whole
yeah. That's called circumnavigation. And that's not exclusive to a globe, although it's I think it's more exclusive to a flat Earth. So let me show you how that works, and then we can move on to your next point. So this is Howard Hughes. This is his trip. He flew around the world, right? This is the North Pole, and he just flew
Correct.
around. Like if your town hall was in the center of your town, and you went to the edge of your town, and you walked all the way around your town, with the town hall being the North Pole in the center of your town, you'd end up right back to where you started. So let me just show you and just make it a little easier for you to understand. Here we have a flat Earth map. I got a magnet here. That's the magnetic North Pole. I got a compass and the needle's pointing towards the north. Now, west is this way. But as I go, the compass keeps turning. So I have to keep turning to the right to maintain a heading of 270. And I end up right back where I started from. And so that's west. That's the same on a flat Earth. It's the same on a globe Earth. If I want to head east, look at the compass. It's pointing to the north. East is a circle around the center point. It's the same on a globe. It's the same on flat. It's not exclusive to either. Now, if I dead reckon west, so there's west. I'm going to line that stick up with west.
Correct.
And as soon as I start going, if I don't turn to the right, I'm heading south. South is every direction away from the center. So south will bring me over here. I'm not going to end up going from Chile and pop up in Australia. On a globe, I should, right? So here I'm going to go south. Now, south would be this way, right? Nobody has ever gone south and popped up on the other side of the world. You should on a globe. East and west are circles.
Yep, correct.
Right? Now, every straight line is south. I'm heading north here. I'm heading north. Look, the compass just did a 180. And now I continue that straight line. I'm heading south. Every straight line goes south. So what you just told me could better be argued that the Earth is flat because he's sailing on flat water. The large bodies of water need containment. The flat Earth contains those waters. Do you know that Antarctica is the highest land on Earth?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yes.
Right. So it's the shoreline of our world pond. And your guy is just sailing around the pond. And you're claiming that proves it's a globe? That's not very deep.
I mean, that's one of
that's
one of the
and I just explained to you that it doesn't prove either. I'll give you I say it's impossible on a globe because I mean there's so many things that are impossible on a globe, but what you described to me better fits a flat Earth description. Do you have anything else?
Yes, another thing. Okay, so what about lunar eclipse?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. I want to hear that one because I want to go to space after this one.
So what is a lunar eclipse? Can you explain to me in your model what a lunar eclipse is?
Basically, from my understanding, is here's the sun, here's the Earth, and the moon's right here, and the sun's light casts a shadow where the moon is, and it makes that sphere.
So here's the sun.
Or sphere.
Here's the sun.
Yep.
Here's the moon, and here's the Earth. Right?
No, it's the other way. The other way. The Earth is
you're
blocking.
Right. Hey, that was a test. I was testing to see if you're paying attention. Good job. Okay. So here's the sun, the moon. Is the eclipse started yet?
If
the eclipse in this configuration, has the eclipse started yet?
No.
Okay. So now it goes down like this. Now the eclipse is about to start, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. And the shadow would come in from the bottom, right?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. So now I'm going to show you what's called a selenilian eclipse. Did they teach you about that in school? Nope, they did not. Right? So where is my eclipse? Selenilian. So here's what I was just showing you. We got the moon, you got the sun, you got the earth. The eclipse hasn't started yet. Your point of view from wherever you are, you're always on the top of the earth. And so you're looking off your right shoulder is the sun, off your left shoulder is the full moon, and the eclipse hasn't started. Now, as the earth gets more in alignment, the eclipse starts, and this is what you would expect to see. Right? That's what we're
Correct.
That's what we're told. Now, first thing you have to understand is shadows. Shadows dissipate over distance. Put a basketball on the ground at noon and look, you'll have a dark shadow. You'll see the shadow of the basketball beautiful. Hold that shadow up in the air like this. You won't even see the basketball shadow anymore. It completely diffuses. That's just like 10 feet in the air. Right?
Well, and that depends on how bright the light is, right?
Well, we're talking about sunlight. Well, here's the problem.
If we're talking about sunlight, wouldn't the shadow be bigger, and that's why it looks like it disappeared?
Here's the problem. Let's forget about the dissipation.
Okay.
This is called the selenian eclipse, where the viewer can see the sun above his horizon, the moon above his horizon, and the eclipse starts. And the last one they had, the shadow came in from the top. So this is what they saw. This is an actual picture of the eclipse. This is what you should have seen. Because you're down here on the earth. How did the shadow come in from the top? Do you know what scientists call the selenian eclipse? They call it the impossible upside down eclipse. You know why they call it that? Because they can't explain it. You know why they can't explain it?
But it does happen.
This happens, which proves
it does. Yep.
No, this happens, which 100% rules out the earth as the cause of the eclipse. There's something else causing it. That's a longer podcast. That's a deeper thing. On my app, in the eclipses section, let me show you. If you go to the frequently asked questions, which is the question mark, and you go to what about eclipses right here, eclipses, there's tons of videos explaining how that works, explaining how when you have a sphere casting a shadow on another sphere, it doesn't come in as this beautiful curved smiley face all the way across. It comes in as a long ellipse. It spreads out, and then it leaves as an ellipse. So what we see on the moon, one, doesn't represent a sphere casting a shadow on another sphere. Two, cannot be the Earth because the Earth is not in line with the sun and moon. When the eclipse starts, because shadow comes in from the top.
But there's multiple eclipses. What I'm talking about is lunar eclipse.
That's a lunar eclipse. That is a lunar.
When we do know, well, because the lunar eclipse is exactly when the Earth, and you can see it with a telescope. You can see when if you look through the telescope, it aligns with us being in the way, basically.
Explain to me how an observer here can see an eclipse when the Earth is not in between the sun and the moon. Explain to me how the shadow can come in from the top and not the bottom. The Earth is going in the line this way. The shadow should come from the bottom. It actually comes in from the top. You can't explain that. No scientist could explain it. That's why they call it the impossible eclipse. Your idea of what happens with the eclipse is incorrect. There are videos that show you other ways that the eclipse could happen. And it's not a shadow from the Earth. It's a darkening of the moon, whether the moon is powering down or whatever. I couldn't tell you. But what I can rule out is the Earth as the cause.
Okay. That's a good question. Yeah. That's a good explanation of the selenian eclipse.
Here's the thing. By the way, Robert, I was you. I had everything you're going to tell me today. I had the same claims because that's what I was told. And then when people showed me the stuff, I had to really think about it. I'm just like, it's not the Earth. And people say, well, then what is it? You know what? I heard today that Julio stole the last cookie out of my cookie jar. Okay. I heard that today.
Yeah.
And Julio, where are you? I'm in Connecticut.
Oh, we're in Houston.
You're in Houston. So can you prove that you weren't in Connecticut today? Probably, right?
Yeah, you could prove it. Yeah.
So if you didn't steal the cookie, then who did? Because until you tell me who did, I'm going to say it was you, because that's your argument. You're going to be like, until I can tell you what's causing that eclipse, even though I can prove it's not the Earth, you're going to still claim that that's what's causing the eclipse.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, this is where I guess I'm a little different from most of the people that are I'm not an ideologue, you know. I will take all this in and I will do my investigation. But from what I've gathered so far, there's been so many people, you know, and this is why again I bring up that I respect what you do, even though I don't agree.
That's okay.
Right?
We're going to
But
go over point by
yeah,
point. I want to
yeah.
understand your argument. I think I've successfully taken your first two arguments and showed you that they're not good arguments. And don't take that personally because I'm going to do
No.
every
Yeah,
argument you
and
have.
yeah, correct. But and you know, there's like I said, you know, I just seem that it in the last 2000 years ago, right? The contemporary thought process was that the earth was flat,
Of
right?
course,
That
yes.
was the establishment, the church, they all, you know, and even prior to the church when they had control, you know, you had Pythagoras who came out kind of like you that is coming out, you know, he's a mathematician. What does he know about, you know, the stars and astrology? Then 150 years later, he's already dead. He was revered as a loony for saying that the earth was round, right? Then you had Aristotle. He came out and he basically also did, you know, the lunar eclipse. That's where hence I brought that up. And he also died as he died being known as a crazy loony for coming out believing that the earth was round.
So here,
And then
good. Sorry.
and then 17 it wasn't until, you know, who brought up a good point, which the only people that believed that the earth was round were peasant sailors, right? There's a lot of documentation that they said, you know, the earth is round. And you had a guy named and I hope I don't massacre this, but Eratosthenes.
Eratosthenes.
Yeah, and I'm sure you know about that. Then it wasn't until 1700 years later, or, you know, 1700 years in 1492, you know, that the Catholic Church finally decided, you know what, we need to look into this, you know, because they were the establishment, right?
So wait a minute.
And
So are you using Eratosthenes as that he proved that the Earth is a globe?
yes, by the cast of shadows.
Can you explain the Eratosthenes experiment? I
What
can
he
help you if
did,
you need help. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm for no longer, you know, I'm not a professional, but I will say that my understanding is that he put a pillar north of another pillar. I don't know the exact distance, but he basically used mathematics to see that in one spot there was a shadow, and in another spot there was no there, and the south pole, the south pillar didn't have a shadow, but the north pillar had a big long shadow.
Okay.
And he just basically came up with
So let me tell you the
circumference of the earth.
The full Eratosthenes story. I'll keep it short. First, on one day, he noticed that the sun was shining at the bottom of a well, which means that the sun was directly above the well.
Correct.
That's good. So then he said, "Hey, I've got an idea. We can figure out the size of the Earth by if I put a stick in the ground and it has no shadow, and then somebody's there over the ball, and they put a stick in the ground and there's a shadow at the same time, we can do some good math, and that is absolutely true." So what he did is he got his friend to walk 500 miles and count his steps. So that way he knew he was 500 miles. So he counted how far 500. So when he got there, somehow he knew exactly at what time to do the stick measurement somehow they must have had a string and a cup and they were able to talk to each other or something, because first, that's an impossible thing, counting your steps.
Well, not necessarily.
How would they know when to do the measurement? How would they know what time?
Because for example, hey, walk
500 miles.
500 miles.
Let's say he's a great counter and he does it. How would he know when to start the experiment?
They figured out, okay, it's going to take you a week to get there, right? Okay. And in a week, let's say Tuesday at 7 a.m.
How do you know what time 7 a.m. is?
Well, at that time they had
how does he know what time? Well, sundial, but he's walking around the earth. It's going to be a different.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be a different.
Yeah.
Time, right.
I see,
So hang on. Let me just. I'm going to get past all that. So getting past those impossibilities. Let's just say they're really good with time. They were like the weather's going to cooperate.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you right here. So here's Eratosthenes and Saeed, and the sun's directly above his stick, and there's no shadow.
Correct.
He walks 500 miles. He's got a stick, and it casts a shadow, and he can measure the shadow's length. You can do some really good calculus and figure out the sphericity of that sphere, right?
Correct.
Now, did you know that in Eratosthenes' time, they were geocentric? They thought that the Earth was at the center and the sun went around the Earth.
Yep.
But how can a distant... So you'd have to believe that the sun is infinitely far to have straight rays. No one has ever seen straight rays coming in. Here, for example, this is called crepuscular rays. Now, common sense would say that the light is close, right? No one has ever seen straight rays come in. But Eratosthenes is like, well, the sun's so far away, the rays are straight. Even though no one's ever saw it, we're going to let that slide. We're going to let that slide. We're going to go back to here. On a flat Earth with a small local sun, just as it appears, here's Eratosthenes. He's got no shadow. Here's his buddy 500 miles away. He's got the exact same length shadow as this guy has. You can do the same math and figure out the sphericity of this flat plane. You can go out and do this yourself today, right? You can do it. You can do it with a couple beer bottles. Get a beer bottle, hold a light over one of them. This one has a shadow. This one doesn't. Do the same math and figure out the sphericity of that flat floor. And you'll come up with a spherical number. Math is not reality. It's the data that you put in, and it's your belief, right? We've got crepuscular rays showing that the sun is close. We've got them believing in a geocentric Earth, which is impossible with an infinitely far sun. We have something that works perfectly on a flat Earth, and globers are claiming that it proves the globe. This is fallacious.
Okay. Good point. Very good point. Yeah. The question that I have for you, Dave, is can you explain to me the heliocentric theory? Because I was looking at videos and didn't make sense to me that the sun is moving X amount of miles per hour and we're rotating.
Yeah.
I was like, in that sense, we're going to be seeing different galaxies. We should have been in the same planet. We should have been clashing with somebody else at that speed.
This is what we're taught, that we're circling the sun at 66,000 miles an hour while spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're chasing, they don't teach us this, but the heliocentric model says we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, and so are the other planets. For some reason, they stay on the same flat plane chasing the sun. So as the sun's going around, all the planets are staying even, keeping up with the sun as it's flying through the universe, and all of the planets are doing their spiral patterns. That is insanity. That's insane, right? That's insane. And the sun is made of 99% helium and hydrogen, which defy gravity on Earth, but it has enough gravity to hold on to all of the planets, and everything works like a perfect clock. If you don't know anything about the three-body problem, you can't model three gravitational bodies. It goes into chaos mode, and you can't figure it out. But for some reason, this works like a perfect clock. It hasn't changed in all of history. The Antikythera mechanism that was discovered off of Greece, over 2,000 years old, is a perfect working model of our solar system, and it hasn't changed. It's accurate to a fraction of a second today. So this is the helio-nonsensical insanity model that they're taught in school versus this defies natural law, right? Just to help you out with those speeds, right? Well, first, they took our flat Earth. That map was in every school, every encyclopedia until the 1950s. They took it out, wrapped it around a ball, and they said, this is where you live, and you can't go independently explore this white area. You're not allowed to go here, right? That's a prison. That's a prison for your mind.
Well, it's not a ban for people to go there. It's a ban if you want to conduct experiments.
No, there's a ban of free and independent exploration. Okay, no one is allowed to freely go there and explore, and the reasons behind it are insane. They say,
but then who's there to regulate that?
Oh, there's military bases all over the place. We're coming out with a video in a couple days that's going to blow open Antarctica and what's going on there. There's mining operations there. They're like, you can't drop a cigarette butt there because it's the only pristine place on Earth. They're mining gold and silver and platinum and all sorts of metals there. They're digging holes and dumping garbage in it. It is a complete and total shit show down there. This is NASA's hypersonic sled track, right? If you look up hypersonic sled track on YouTube, you'll hear it with sound. I don't have sound on this. It goes by a Mach 8.6. Watch again. Mach 8.6. You can't fathom that speed, right? So did you know that we're orbiting the sun at 10 times this speed? We're on a lumpy rock surrounded by water, surrounded by high pressure air, adjacent to a void of a vacuum of space of no pressure, which breaks all laws of physics. And we're going 10 times faster than this in a curved motion, not a straight line, around the sun. And we're chasing the sun 100 times faster. Your brain is incapable of processing what twice that speed is. But when we go out into nature, oops, where did my transition go? When we go out into nature, we see stuff like this. What does your common sense tell you? Right? When we go out into nature, we see things like this. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. They tell us the water bulges 14 miles high at the equator. That is insane. Africa would be underwater if that was the case. That's what mainstream heliocentrism says, right? We're orbiting, we're chasing the sun in a curved trajectory, and the water does this 10 times faster than that, and 100 times faster chasing the sun. But water, what does water tell us? Water doesn't lie. Nature doesn't lie, right? This is a perfect mirror reflection because it's flat. It's not curved.
But wouldn't we get the same reaction if we hold the cup in a car and we're going, let's say 80 miles an hour?
Yeah.
And let's use Beltway. Well, let's use like a freeway that goes around the city. And let's say it was empty. There was no bumps on the road.
Yep, perfect.
And I'm with
you.
I'm going 80 miles an hour, and I'm holding a
dinner
cup.
plate. Let's use a dinner plate filled with water.
Okay, dinner plate.
Now, if that car takes the slightest turn or the slightest change in acceleration or deceleration,
let's say one degree every, I don't know what.
Well, do you know what the Earth on the equator, the Earth, if you take your point, if you're on the top of the Earth and you wait 1 hour, no, 1 minute, you're dropping a mile a minute. A mile a minute. Okay? You're dropping a mile a minute. Don't tell me you wouldn't feel that, because you would, right? When we have tiny little shakes, this is a little earthquake. This is what it does to water, a tiny little shaking of the earth. We're spinning and whirling and twirling. But here's the thing. People go, well, on an airplane, I could drink a glass of water and I could go to the bathroom, right? Well, in an airplane, you're only going 500 miles an hour. Double it to 1,000 miles an hour. Prime example, the airplane.
So when you're going 500 miles an hour, you don't feel that speed.
I was already answering your question before you asked it, because now I'm going to answer it. An airplane is only going 500, so we double it to 1,000, and I'll agree with you. Probably wouldn't even notice it once you're up to speed. Once you're up to speed, you're going in a straight line, but you're not going in a straight line. You'd have to nose down at a mile per minute.
Which the plane does that automatically.
Does not do that. And the other thing is, you have to take off the outside shell of the plane because there's no outside shell on the Earth.
And then I guess the argument for the pitch is gravity, right? Because it's pulling everything centered.
What's gravity? Einsteinian gravity or Newtonian gravity? Because both of them are bullshit.
Can you explain that too?
Yeah, explain that.
Can you explain both?
They used to tell us that mass attract mass is what, Einsteinian gravity. But then they changed it. They go, well, maybe that's not the case. It's the bending and warping of space-time. Do you know what the bending and warping of space-time is? It's complete total bullshit. No one even knows what it is. All right? It's just a bunch of nonsense. Right? Here's the thing. A pilot is coming into an airport. He's going to land here. Let's say he's 125 miles out. I was on a plane recently. The pilot said, we're 125 miles out. We're going to start our descent. And they do a calculation. It's called rate of descent. Right? So he's got to drop a number of feet per mile to hit the runway. The problem is his calculation is for a flat Earth. In reality, the Earth will drop 2 miles in 125 miles.
Well, that would make sense if the plane was about, I don't know, what is that? The size, because the plane is not that big for that curvature.
So hang on,
significant.
You're incorrect. You're just saying. Listen, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you when you're saying nonsense.
Yeah,
because that is nonsense.
Well, no, because just imagine if that was a bicycle. You're not going to. you're not going to offset for a curb when you're that tiny. You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
incorrect. 125 miles. There's a 2-mile drop. 2 miles.
okay.
Whether
So
you're
you would have,
or whether you're the Empire State Building, there's a 2
yeah, you would
drop.
have to be like 20% that size or close to that size.
It doesn't matter if this is Godzilla or a housefly. At 120 miles of linear motion,
because then that fly wouldn't
miles.
The fly wouldn't see the curvature.
Robert,
you just said 100 and
Robert,
how many
let me
miles?
ask you a question. If you're walking down, if you got a hallway in your house and then there's a flight of stairs, okay, and you want to get to the bottom, you want to get to the landing at the bottom of the stairs, right? Do you have to calculate for that drop to get to the bottom of the stairs? Yeah, you have to go down the stairs, but they don't calculate for those stairs. They just calculate for the angle to the floor at the top of the stairs. But for some reason, when they get there, the runway's there. The runway's really 2 miles lower. The runway's 2 miles lower. They never calculate for curvature. The plane flies attitude nose up. Gyros hold rigidity in space. A gyro tells the plane that it's level, and as the plane's diving over the earth, the gyro should be falling backwards, but it doesn't. It stays
level. Well, it doesn't because they're keeping it. They're keeping it level because the plane when it descends. You don't
understand what a gyro is.
In a sense,
here's
you're talking about that
the gyro spins. The gyro spins, and it holds rigidity in space. So here's the airplane. When it goes down, the gyro tilts back. When it goes up, when it turns, the gyro holds rigidity no matter where it goes. So if it's flying around the earth, when it gets over here, halfway down the earth, the gyro would be vertical to that airplane. It would be vertical because it holds rigidity in space. It ignores.
But that's what I'm saying. How big would that plane? How big do you think the plane is?
It doesn't matter.
So,
the plane flies halfway around the earth. The gyro would be vertical, and it never goes vertical. Gyros never ever go vertical. Here, I'll show you an example. Okay. So here is this it right here? So this is a flight from Britain, I think, or Germany to Brazil. And we look at these stars here. This is a time lapse. The stars are just kind of staying where they are, except when he turns, right? This is what Google Earth says. As that plane is diving over the earth, going halfway around the earth, these stars that are in front of them should be over their head. This is what Google Earth says it should look like, right? Because you're diving over the earth. The stars that are in front of you when you dive over should now be above you. But when we go to the video, the stars do not do that at all. They stay right there. They're not moving. They're not, when you dive over, like when you're on an airplane.
Right? But for that to work, wouldn't the plane need to go as fast? Like just because
it's not, okay. Because
bear with me, the earth is spinning. Yeah.
I hear where
you're going. Yeah. You would have to be as fast as that earth.
Yeah.
Just in order to see the stars change, right?
Good point. And the Globers came up with this also. So that's only if you're flying east or west, right? If the earth is spinning east and then you're flying with the earth at the same speed, then the stars could arguably never move. But we're only going half that speed. But we're flying south here. So the spin of the earth doesn't matter, right? We're flying south. But here's the other thing. If it was negating it, when we fly back, they should be going twice the speed. They should be whizzing over our head, but they don't. They go the same. They stay level and they stay the same in both directions. In both directions. They do not go up. They do not go up. Here's just so we have, this is a little globe and we have some just think of these as stars on the wall. This is an airplane just diving over, and everything would be
Professor Dave.
Yeah, everything would be rising. So I think they do it with a laser. So he's got a laser on the airplane, and as he goes over, the laser is showing where he's pointing, right? So the laser is going to show it's pointing out the front of the plane. So there's the laser, and all of these things rise up. But that doesn't happen. In reality, it doesn't happen. Models say it should happen, but it doesn't happen. Therefore, Earth not globe.
Dave,
sorry.
Quick question. Do you think we are living in a sphere like a dome type of flat earth covered with a dome?
Yeah, that was gonna be my
and like
too.
citing the Bible, like the waters above the firmament and separating the waters and whatever. Do you believe in that, or we just are a lucky
this
draw?
Is what I believe. This is what I believe. We live in a giant toroid, and all of the luminaries are going around the magnetic fields in the sky. Whatever they are, they're here, they're small, they're close. I believe there's an energy coming out of the center, which is the North Pole, and we live on this dielectric plane. Now, this plane represents maybe 1% of this whole model. This plane is where physical reality exists. This is where we exist and experience the world. The rest of this is non-physical, spiritual, right? This is all I'm talking about, the 1%. What happens out here, I couldn't tell you. What happens up here, we can only speculate. Anything we see in the sky, the only thing accurately we can say about it is it's a light.
But then I'm just thinking outside the box, but wouldn't that make sense for, if they're keeping us away from Antarctica, like you're saying, wouldn't they want to keep us away from the North Pole?
They do. They do. You can't go to the North Pole.
Because, what is there in Antarctica?
You can't go there. You can't go to either one of those places. The two places that would tell us what this place is, you can't go there.
I mean, I didn't know about the North Pole.
You can't even fly over it.
I do know by preparing for this, I found that in Antarctica, yes, you can go. You just cannot
freely.
You cannot conduct any type of conduct experiments.
Forget the experiments. You cannot freely explore Antarctica.
That's crazy, man. I think we're living in a lie, man. We just
no, I mean, and I get there's a lot of deception. That's why it's hard to believe what's real right now. There's so much distrust in everything. So like a lot of the stuff that you do bring up, I do agree with you. Like, when you were trying to tell Professor Dave about the whole education.
Forget Professor Dave. That guy is a total shill. He doesn't want to hear anything.
He didn't have to be a dick, though. But
he is a dick. That's it. And he did nothing. He proved nothing. All he did was make faces, insults. There's a guy, a professor that analyzes debates and calls out fallacies and ad homs, and Professor Dave got the highest score of anybody, like he got 300 some odd ad homs. This is the average height of all the continents. This is the average height of Antarctica. What does a pond need? A lake needs a shoreline that's higher than the water. Here's our shoreline, higher than our water, containing our oceans. Now, does it go all the way around? I think it does, but maybe there's some openings and there's another shoreline beyond it. I don't know what's
So are you saying that Antarctica is higher than Mount Everest?
Yeah, I am. But here, it doesn't matter whether it's higher than Mount Everest. The average height of the plane of Antarctica is higher than all the other continents. Now, I think there are mountains higher than Antarctica, but I can't prove it.
The only reason why I was bringing that up is because I believe in the Bible, right? And there is scientific evidence that the flood did happen. That's why we see a lot of seashells in places where
God opened the windows of the heavens and
So how would you explain the flood on a flat earth?
Well, how would you explain it on a ball earth? Right? God opened up the windows of the heaven and and let the waters in. There's waters above and waters below. And God separated the waters from the waters on day one. The first page of the Bible is a flat earth book, right? The Bible is the most scientific history book out there, right?
I just feel that the complexity of what a globe is and what you just described only highlights the grand of God. Because if you look at our nerve system, he created us, right? All these intricate things that we have in our bodies alone is an engineer that we can't even replicate. We cut ourselves, it auto heals. So when I can believe a globe because it only highlights
Where in the Bible
my
does God say
God.
the earth is a globe?
Well,
There's over 200 verses
okay,
that refer to a
because
flat and stationary earth,
well, here's the
immovable.
thing. Yeah, well, here's the thing. This is where again I probably think differently from most, but in as a Christian, who cares if it's flat or or round?
Well,
If I have
I can answer that for you.
because Jesus cares only for salvation. Just come to him and you're saved. It doesn't matter these semantics. You know
It's not
you'll
semantics.
lose yourself.
It's if you don't understand God's creation,
Well,
if you think that you're just a random speck expanding in an infinite
no,
universe,
well,
and with a deluded God, I'm talking. So I'll let you talk, but just let me talk, right?
Yeah.
And if you think you're dishonoring God's creation, there's a verse in the Bible that basically says, once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence. The people that are running this world hate God. They want to remove God.
Correct.
And they want to become God. So that's why they came up with the heliocentric, nonsensical model. It's filled with all sorts of demonic stuff. It's all 666s in the earth, right? If we let me just show you real quick. I can see this. The distance of the moon is 6 times 60 times 666 miles. The sun is divided by 3 degrees, 6 plus 6 plus 6. It's hard to see this one. The Earth axis tilts at 66.6 degrees. Everything. There's a really long list. Screenshot that, anyone watching, and you can see it. It's all 666s. It's incredible.
And yeah, no, and I do agree with that. These
screenshot that.
Oh, yeah,
but it's again, the globe model is anti-God. Anyone that's a true Christian needs to look at what the globe model does. On my app, there's a biblical section right here, and if you go in, there's all sorts of stuff. This guy he's amazing, doing a lot of short videos. But in the biblical section, there's a video right at the top called Dear Pastor. It's a 7-minute video. Just watch it. There's other section here. This is a pastor that did this incredible series, breaking it apart. Kay Podge is amazing. She's on TikTok, cranking out the biblical proofs. And again, if you believe in the Bible, you need to watch this. If you think the Bible's stupid, you need to watch all of these videos, right? Once you see that, you can't unsee it.
And see, like I was trying to get to the point was that when I read the Bible, I like to always read it as a historical book, right? And so I start paying attention to the authors at what mindset they had at that time and era. So, for example, the contemporary thought process was that the earth was flat. So, of course, he's going to write that, and so
they were just all wrong. They were just all wrong. Everything in the Bible is wrong.
No. But I'm just saying, to me as a Christian, all this is pointless.
Well, it's not pointless. It's not pointless
because all we need to focus is Jesus. But all this is, of course, entertaining, though. But
this isn't entertainment. The thing is, once you see the true creation, it'll increase your faith. Right? I didn't believe in God. Right? I discounted God because of the Bible. Because in the Bible it said that the stars fell to the earth. I'm like, that can't happen. A star would eat the earth. That's crazy. But then when I found out all my cosmology was wrong, I'm like, whoa, the Bible is pretty damn true. I'm like, this is incredible. For example, in the Bible, it says, and the Lord God formed man out of dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils and the breath of life, and a man became a living soul. That's Genesis 2.7. What are the six things? Oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. Well, guess what we're made out of? Oxygen, hydrogen, all of these things out of that. So what are we made from? We're made from the dust of the earth. Well,
correct.
If we look at the dust of the earth and look at the color of people, it's the same color.
Match it.
We have the same colors. And then if you look at the earth to have healthy earth, you need bugs. You need certain bacteria and bugs in the earth. We need that in our body too, right? And then what did God make Eve out of?
Adam's rib.
Adam's rib. How many bones are in the human body?
200.
Like 216 or something like that.
Yeah, 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what? Guess what the only bone that can regenerate, regrow itself is? The only one.
The rib.
The rib. Who
The rib, yeah.
know that? So they were wrong about the shape of the earth, but they knew what people were made out of. They knew about the ribs being regenerated. They knew all of this stuff, but they were just wrong about their stupid cosmos.
Well, no. Well, that is because God told Moses to write that.
But God didn't tell the other people, you know, when they said the earth is still on
a lot. Some of it was their inspiration of what they wrote.
That is some crazy belief there, my friend.
Yeah, because like, for example, like when Daniel wrote what he saw, you know, he wrote what, you know, some stuff it was directed to the prophets to write to the people of Israel.
Yeah. How about when God returns, everyone on earth will be able to see him? How does that work on a globe? Or did they just get that wrong also?
Well, that was John, what he saw on Revelations. That was a vision of the future.
I mean, you're going to need to make excuses for over 200 Bible verses that they just got it wrong, but they got everything else right. Right?
No, I'm just saying, like, for example, when John wrote in Revelations about the Twin Towers, he didn't say buildings or a plane. He said there was 2 Mount Towers that were destroyed, or I think it was plummeted by a flying object, right? Well, no, it didn't say flying object. In Spanish, it says ave. I don't know how you say that.
A bird?
Yeah, like a bird. Yeah. And we now know, oh, man, that sounds like the Twin Towers. You know, he didn't get it wrong. It's just sometimes it's what.
So when God said the earth is placed on pillars, it's immovable.
No, well, if God said that, then that's what it is.
Okay, well, that's what it is. It's not a ball. It's flat. They knew what they were talking about.
So, quick question for you, Dave.
Yeah,
I believe in 2 things. I don't know if you believe in those 2 things. I believe we never went to the moon. That's
a good.
I believe in that too.
And I believe there is probably more land mass beyond the Antarctica. I believe there is more to see, or there is something to see.
So let me now. Here's the thing, and I always preface this: we don't need to speculate what's beyond 60 degrees south, where the Antarctic Treaty starts, or what's above us, or go back in history to prove the shape of the Earth. We can do it here now from where we are. But I do like to speculate what's beyond the shoreline of Antarctica that some people call the ice wall, right? This isn't flat Earth. This is flat Earth. This is the shoreline of our world, Antarctica. And it's higher than the water. So there's let me just go through this for you. So a few years ago, we were looking at some ship tracking devices. Whoops, where is it? Got to go down a little bit. Some ship tracking websites, and you can see you can go on these. These are free sites. There's paid sites. We had a paid site, and we see all these ships. You can click on them, get all the information, what's going on the ship, where it's going, who the captain is, where it's registered. But we saw a ship out. We're like, how does a ship get all the way that far in Antarctica? 730 miles, right? According to Google Earth, that's 1.9 miles higher than the ocean. So there has to be a canal going 730 miles into Antarctica with 2-mile high walls on the side. That doesn't seem feasible. Then we saw another one, 905 miles from the closest water. How can that be? So we click on the ship, right? By the way, that's over 2.3 miles higher than the ocean. So we click on the ship, and all it says is that is a ship that is 850 meters long, which is gigantic, 80 meters wide, and it's registered to the country of Kiribati. Have you ever heard of Kiribati? It's pronounced Kiribat, but it's spelled Kiribati. So you haven't seen that, right? So
no.
So we said, where is Kiribati? What is this? So we look up on Google Earth in the middle of the South Pacific, and it's a tiny little island. I had to put a pin on it so I can see it. And it shows this little sandbar of an island. And now America, China, Vietnam, other countries say that this is a very important trade route, right? And notice Kiribati, Bati, Kiribati, right? Go on Google Earth, type Kiribati, brings you right here. And so we're like, why is this an important trade route? What is going on there? Why is a ship that's registered there in the middle of Antarctica, right?
So that is interesting.
That's interesting. Hold on. It's going to get more interesting. So we looked at the ships. On the island, there's a Captain Cook Hotel. Now, if you know Captain Cook, he's the guy that tried to circumnavigate Antarctica. It should have been 10,000 miles, but he went like 60,000 miles. 60,000 around the outside of a flat Earth. Makes more sense than flat Earth. And so there's a Captain Cook. This doesn't prove anything. Super weird. We'll just give it a super weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Super weird. So we looked at all the ships that are going to this massive dock on this tiny island, and we clicked on all of them, and they had no information other than destination unknown or destination Christmas Island, which opens up a whole nother rabbit hole. Some people say Kiribati is called Christmas Island, but if you know the whole thing about Christmas and Santa and Satan and nonsense, but all of these ships are weird ships without letting us know where they're going. Okay, just weird. Why are so many ships at this little island? What do they have there? Bananas? There's not even enough room to grow bananas, right?
Correct.
If you look into the history of Kiribati, they did nuclear testing there, right? And they talk about, and one of the testimonies is a soldier said, he said, when the bomb went off, I put my hands over my face and I could see the bone of my fingers. Yep. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. That happens on Bugs Bunny. That doesn't happen in reality, right? And it's this is about Kiribati, nuclear test. Look, that's supposed to be a nuclear bomb. Look at these. Does that look like a nuclear bomb's going off? You'd be hitting the deck, running the other way, turning your head. This is just a fire or something. I don't know what that is, right? Nonsense. This is a picture they've been using for 30 years, and it's just nonsense, right? So whenever I see something with nuclear bombs, know that they're hiding something. So then we have to look at time zones, right? If the Earth is a globe, you got a line from the North Pole to the South Pole. You got 24 of them dividing the Earth up into like sections of an orange. And as the Earth spins, wherever the sun is noon. Those how time zones work on your globe, right? You understand that? You understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Except there's this one weird time zone right here, right? On the international date line, it zigzags over 3.5 time zones. And what is this weird thing? And what's right here? That's what Kiribati is. That's just weird. What's it doing there? What does it prove? I don't know what it proves. Just another super weird thing. Gets better. Hold on. So we started making videos about this, and I'll show you why we made videos. They started going super viral, and all of a sudden, you search Kiribati, it brings you to this island. Look where this island is compared to where Kiribati really is. It brings you to an island that has nothing to do with it. And now that we go back to Kiribati, they changed the name. No announcement, no nothing. It's now Kirimati with an M.
Huh.
They changed it. It's now Kirimati. Right? Weird, like they do some very, very weird stuff, right? Another thing about time zones is there's 19 in the north, 24 between the tropics, and 32 in the south. Because if the south is getting bigger on a flat Earth, you got more distances, you need more time zones. So they got all these time zones out there, makes zero sense on a flat Earth. So the question is where is that ship going? And here's what I say. This that was found in a Buddhist temple, 10 centuries old. It was published in a Hawaiian newspaper on 1907, I think. And it's showing all these other continents out here, right? Here we have our world. This would be where we say Antarctica starts. And you have all these continents out there. What if it was an important trade route? Here's Kiribati. And it was going out here to maybe trade with the civilizations that are living out here, advanced civilizations. Maybe that's where the Mayans moved to. Maybe that's where the Atlanteans moved.
Because we don't know what happened to the Mayans. No one knows.
Here's the thing. What are they trading? Tuna fish? Weapons? Computer chips? Babies? We don't know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You can't deny it. You can't say, because you never even heard of Kiribati until today.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's true.
So this Makes a lot of sense. Very important trade route, a friggin' sandbar in the middle of nowhere. Big ships going there, giant ships. Like that ship, it was bringing supplies to Kiribati, could supply it with everything it needs for 100 years, right? Because it's a tiny little island, right? But where's it going? What's going on out here? And we've seen lines of ships, like 1, 2, 3, 4, going out through Antarctica. And that's because Antarctica isn't really there. Antarctica is out there. So is this true? I don't know. But there's more and more evidence lining up to it. If you look into, there's lots of old books like the Navigator Across the Ice Wall, the Iron Republic, the Smoky God, all of these old books about land beyond Antarctica, ships that have gone through the cracks in Antarctica and found more land.
Can you name that again? Can you name them again?
The Iron Republic. The Iron Republic.
The Iron Republic.
If you go again, my app brings everything together. If you go to the books section, books, and then you go to more land, boom. You got the Iron Republic is right here. You got the Navigator Across the Ice Wall. There's The Worlds Beyond the Poles, another great one. The Smoky God, another great one. Now, whether these books are true or not, and they do ring true to me, is they were talking about more land beyond Antarctica 100 years ago and more.
Yeah, and see, I mean, I do have that belief that nothing's further from the truth. So I mean, that's just something to consider.
If you want to say the awesomeness of God, a globe limits God to a limited world with limited resources, overpopulated. But if you want to really, go out there, what if our world was set up like this? We live here. This right ring is Antarctica. There's more land out here. There's more land out here. And then there's other ponds, pieces of the plane, if you will, or a planet, right? These other worlds are super close compared to cosmic distances. They're just tens of thousands of miles away, 100,000 miles away, not incomprehensible, scientifically impossible light years. Now, I'm not claiming this is real. I'm saying this makes God amazing. The heliocentric, nonsensical Big Bang universe. I mean, the whole big universe is a Big Bang. Once upon a time, there was nothing. It exploded, became everything. And then gas turned into balls and made a space vacuum, which is impossible. It's absolute insanity to believe in the globe.
Yeah, I believe we never went to the moon. I like your explanation the other day with J.J. Carroll about, how we went to the moon on a tinfoil little capsule.
It's
ridiculous.
I know they didn't go to the moon.
This is the new one. This is the new one. Look at this. What is this, like a TV screen? Look at this. Would any engineer build this? I wouldn't let my kid play in that in the playground. It's going to collapse on you. Okay?
Yeah, it does.
No,
that's a spaceship.
I know
that's a spaceship. All right. So once you unwind NASA, then everything about the Earth, NASA was created to make us believe that we can walk on a ball in space.
Well, see, NASA is very deceiving. But okay, so what do you think about SpaceX when Elon Musk has the live stream when he shoots his rockets? And I remember seeing where I was just telling you about, where I seen one where he has multiple cameras on his rockets and they're live streaming. You can see them. And one of them, they lost visual, so they turned the camera, and to show the camera was burned up by, it got defective, whatever. But as he's flying out, and what's his name, Neil
deGrasse Tyson.
He admitted that we're really not past the atmosphere. We're really, because in my telescope I have seen the satellites in the sky, right? So
you're getting all over the place right now because you have not seen satellites. You think you've seen satellites, but I can prove that you haven't.
I have. You have seen not. It with a satellite, you have not. With a telescope. Yes,
you have not. Yeah, I thought you said you just saw that. Now you saw it with a telescope.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I have a telescope and I've seen the satellite.
Right. What did you see? You saw a little light, right?
Yeah, kind of looks like a little light, but
So it kind of looks like
basically,
a little light. Did you see the actual satellite? Did you see the solar panels on it? Did you see any of the wiring?
I mean, I
You
couldn't
saw a
see
light.
that
You saw
far.
a light. You saw a light moving in the sky, and you're told it's a satellite, and you believe it. I've seen what they tell us is satellites with my naked eye, right? So one thing at a time. We'll talk about Elon. If I show you Elon's faking space once, do I need to show you again? Elon
What do
went
you
up
mean?
rescued. Elon went up and rescued the astronauts off the space station. Remember that a couple weeks ago?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this is them falling down. Now this is the preliminary shoots are up. Look at, and now the main shoots come out. Now this thing is free falling. So this is the where the parachutes are coming out of, and these little nylon parachutes. This thing is free falling super fast, but these parachutes are just taking their time opening. Like it's like what's going on here? Like it's barely moving. Now look at these cables. You can see the cables. They're heavy duty lines. There's multiple lines going to each parachute. Keep that in mind. You can see them. You see the lines, right? And so
Yes.
this is an AI video. So I'm just going to jump forward, save a little time. So at one point it comes right here, and for like a minute, it kind of just stays there. It's like stops going down, and this is what they're showing. This is live, right? I'm like, wait a minute, it's not coming down. It's just sitting there for a couple minutes, right? Now I'm going to jump forward, and it's going to start coming down all of a sudden. And when it goes into the water, watch what happens to the line. Whoops, go back. All right. So when it goes down, it's going to be this photo. Now, mind you, the boats, you can't even see them that are coming, but somehow they got a drone there to cinematically film this. Comes down, crashes into the water. These beautifully, what happened to the lines? Well, maybe you just can't see them. Let's get a little closer, right? So these things are just beautifully falling into the water. This is AI, right? Now watch over here. This one, you're going to be able to see the lines for a split second, and then there's going to be a glitch. There are the lines, and then watch the glitch. Ready? 1, 2, 3, glitch. See it? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I saw the glitch.
Okay. Where are the lines on the water? This thing is just floating here. And then the dolphins. Remember, did you guys see the dolphins?
Yeah, I see the dolphins. Yeah.
That's when Fonzie jumped the shark. Okay. So this entire thing, where are the lines? Now, the boats, here come the boats. They're over here. Amazing drone pilot on here. It's got this drone flying over here. You got the astronauts bobbling beautiful thing. And let's just go forward, right? That the dolphins are going to show up. And I don't know, if you're a boater, I'd be worried about getting those lines tangled in my prop, but they just come right in, no problem. Where are the lines? Where did the parachutes come out of? Where's the opening on the top? Where did the parachutes come out of? Where are the lines draped over this thing? If you can't see that this is fake, it can't help you. I'm going to show you another thing from Elon. This is when he was testing his Mars rocket. This is going to go to Mars. Now, just so you realize how big this thing is, you can drive a Mack truck under here, right? This is gigantic, right?
Yeah.
So this is not taken out of water. I did cut of just to go through a couple scenes. I made it quicker, right? Edit. Now, look how slow it's going. We got this little flame lifting up this multi-ton, 10, 20-ton thing. Edit, right? Now, it's not very high. And because we're looking at the side of it, it's barely moving. Looks pretty high here. Doesn't look very high here. Now look at the smoke. Look how fast the smoke's coming out. Now it's looking pretty high here.
But
no, hold on. Just follow me. Now the engines are off, and it's free falling. The engines are off.
Correct.
It's free falling. Now see the speed of the smoke? That shows you how fast it's going. But watch after the edit. Now look at the smoke. It's barely moving. And we got a side view from the ground, which, whoa, how did it get that high? Onboard camera. That's amazing. How are we getting this little side view of this thing falling? We're going to go back to a side view. Ready? All of a sudden, we're up here. It's amazing. Now watch this.
Well, because it has cameras on the side.
Yeah, it does. But how are we getting this low? How did it get so high? 3 engines go on. Edit. Cameraman goes underneath. Now watch. 2 of the 3 engines are going to burn out. Ready? 1, 2. It's got 1 engine now. It's going to land upright with a whole bunch of CGI smoke. Ready? Here it comes. CGI smoke. And it lands upright. If you believe that is real, I can't help you.
Okay. So I have my sister that lives in Florida,
She's watched the rockets go up. I know she has.
Yeah, she's gone to see that.
I know.
When it gets
and how
caught.
close is she?
She's pretty close.
How close? 10 miles?
Probably, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, 10 miles. You can't see anything at 10 miles. And it's on the other side of a tree line. So you can, if they do launch something sometimes they don't launch anything, but these are blimps that they're sending up or miniatures, and you can't tell from where you are what it is. You can't.
Okay.
I have a whole bunch of rockets and nonsense of them launching. Like, for example, let's go back to the space shuttle, right? Shuttle. Where's the shuttle? Shuttle. So you remember the space shuttle? You around for that? Challenger?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You know that we found 6 of the 7 crew still alive. Same.
Oh yeah, no,
for university.
That's what I'm saying. I know I don't trust NASA at all. They're very deceptive.
Yeah, after seeing that little tweet, somebody posted that about a year, 2 years
ago. Then some of them, when they changed their names, it was like close to their names.
So
like
this is the external tank falling, right? This is supposed to look, there's the Earth. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's falling as these guys are filming it as they're going up. So they're going up at almost 20,000 miles an hour in the opposite direction, right? So and that thing is falling. So here, this is what this is. If I told you, where is the land? I say this to Globers, where's the land? This is from the space shuttle. They're like, oh, well, I could see the curve. You know, they're over the ocean, whatever. This is bullshit because we filmed this in our front yard. We just turned it upside down, put a solar panel up there, and we're showing you. But this is what I wanted to show you. This thing is, they're filming it. That thing's free falling. They're going up, and somehow they're keeping it in frame. Amazing. But here's what, excuse me. All of a sudden, something showed up in the window. I'm just going to show you how fast when Felix jumps out of his thing. That's how fast it should disappear. But this thing is somehow staying in frame perfectly, right? So all of a sudden we saw, which we think is a recovery craft, cloaked, if you will. Ready? Watch right here. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And there it is. What is that?
Yeah.
So I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to add some contrast to it. I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. What is that? What is that? This is from their official film. Crank up the contrast. Looks like some sort of quad, drone or copter or something that's recovering this balloon. NASA's faking space. Elon's faking space. Everyone that goes to space is faking space. They all get trained at a NASA facility in Florida. All the countries that have space agencies all train at NASA.
That is
crazy. I do know they have a lot of that. And again, this is another reason why I kind of distrust NASA, because remember I was telling you I worked on their vacuum chamber.
Yeah.
I welded on some of their stainless and stuff. And I don't know. It was a massive thing. Like,
they got huge. So many people working on for them. They go, my uncle made the hinge for the door of the Apollo. Therefore, NASA's real. I think they had like 20,000 different companies making parts for the Apollo.
Oh yeah.
And they did all that without, I don't even think we had faxes back then, or maybe we did. No email, no, how did they keep track of all of that stuff? How did they put this whole thing together? Right? Get out of here. Get out. Just get out.
Man, I'm with you, Dave, because I never believed, because I went to the Houston Space Station with my daughters, and as soon as I walked in, I saw the capsule, and I was like, there is no freaking way they went to the moon.
Yeah, like he said.
Like they say, they walk around.
I wouldn't let my kids play in that.
And I was like, man, the radios are like old. It's like, there's no way, man. There's no freaking way. And what we haven't go since 69.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was all cover up to try to supposedly beat the USSR at the time.
Yeah.
That's the story, but they're all in it together. It's all a theater. It's all a stage, right? It's all to keep us distracted and to keep the population low and to keep us living in fear, because that's how they control us, through fear. They don't want us to understand that this place was created for us. We're at the center of creation. God is close, that we are powerful spiritual beings, that we are eternal, and that we have manifestation abilities beyond what most can even imagine. And they don't want us to know any of that. And they're using us to create their reality. They can't do it without us. So they need to keep us in fear, have us bang the war drums so we can go to war. They're trying to scare us now with nuclear bombs. I don't know if you guys know, but nuclear bombs don't exist.
Oh, yeah, correct.
So again, it's all about fear and control. And if you live on a globe, you live in a very scary, fearful place of lack, place with at least a diluted God, if any God at all. And that's what's going on. So I encourage you to get my app, flatearthdave.com. The app's $3. It has the frequently asked questions section, all the questions you're going to ask, stuff about the ISS. What about tides? Where does the sun go? How does the sun set? Where's the edge? All sorts of stuff. All of this stuff is being hidden from you. It has a more resources section, awesome documentaries, all sorts of stuff. The experiments section, all the experiments have been done for you. You can watch these experiments. You can go out and recreate them yourself. As I've shown you before, books, all the different sections, shopping. This is I call this the homeschool section. This is literally better than college, and it comes with the app. Featured channels, stuff to people to follow, so you can learn more. This is the biblical section, which everybody needs to watch. The old world section. I'm sure you guys are looking into the old world by now. Yes? No?
Yes. I've been looking into the old stuff.
I haven't.
Have you discovered My Lunch Break yet?
Mm-mm.
Just write that down. It's on the app, but you can just find him on YouTube or any channel. My Lunch Break. Start watching
My
his
Lunch Break,
videos, and you'll never be able to walk outside again without going, how did I miss that? Holy crap, right? You'll never be able to do it again. You can search for videos without Google interference. You got games and different languages. And most importantly, we have the friend finder on here, which will show you where everyone else is that's like-minded people around you. So these are the people around me. I can click on any of them, and I can look at their profile. I could send a message. I can video chat with them. I have a dating feature on here to find like-minded people, right? If I go on the dating, hold on a second. If I go on there, and when I say dating, I call it more of a matchmaker. So I'm a male. I put myself at 1 year old, so I don't show up in anybody's search because I'm married. I'm looking for a female, this age group within 150 miles. I can say search, and there's 23 that people that I might be interested in talking to. I can send them a message. I can, learn about them. I can add them as a friend, and it's amazing. People are already getting married and having babies because of this. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's only $3, right?
The app is $3. Now the dating, the sending messages, you can receive messages. I have a new section on here. Which is the flashcards. There's over 220 flat Earth proofs, and so when someone says, "Where's your proof?" you can just flip through and find one that you think is suitable for that person, and then you could just send it to them. If you want to learn more about these, like this one has an info. So if I click that, it's going to take me to YouTube or wherever it's going to take me to teach me more about that topic. So again, these are resources. People go, "You flat earthers, you don't have a model. You don't have any proof." Where's your proof? I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof, and I can't find it. But the flashcards, the matchmaker, the profiles, and a couple other small things, you have to subscribe. That's $11 a year. Okay? $11 a year. And for those of you that have the app, it's cheap. It's super cheap. But if you go into the friend finder and you click this middle button here, you're going to have a random number here. Change it to whatever you want. Julio, you can just make yours Julio. And that way, when you're telling someone about flat Earth, you're showing them the app, you're pulling up images, memes, whatever. They go, where do I get that app? You tell them and tell them to use your referral code, and you get a point, and you can trade in 11 points for a subscription. And the last thing is, if you put in a wallet, a crypto wallet address, for every point, you get 1 million Dome coins for free. No risk.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I really, really appreciate your time. It was very interesting. I hope we have you back whenever you release those videos about what is beyond the Antarctica, because
I don't know what's beyond Antarctica. I like speculating about it. You know, maybe there's nothing. Yeah. Maybe the dome terminates. You know, God said he created the dome like a tent and connected it to the earth. What if he connected it 1 million miles south of 60 degrees? So we have 1 million miles in every direction that we don't know about. Maybe. I don't know.
Dave, one of your friends went to Antarctica, and I believe they were asking for you to go, and you didn't want to go. Is that true, or?
Well, it's not that I didn't want to go. It's that it was a false dichotomy where it says if the sun does this, then that. If the sun does that, then this, and that's not true, right? You know, if the sun circles in Antarctica, it means how well we understand the sky. It doesn't change any of the physical measurements of the earth. I'm not a sky earther. I'm a flat earther, right? I measure the earth, right? The lights in the sky. You know, if you want to say that the circling sun proves the shape of the earth, explain to me how helium and hydrogen can create gravity and make a ball in a vacuum and burn 640 billion tons of fuel every single day for billions of years and never get any smaller. It can hold on to Pluto, but it doesn't affect our moon, right? When you start looking at all the baggage that comes with that, all it tells us is how well we understand the sun. If you look on the app, the sun circles around once a day. It brings its light with it. And we're looking down. We're over the North Pole. We're on God's throne here looking down. So wherever the sun is, if I called somebody, like right when it goes over here, if I called somebody over here and say, what time is it? And where's the sun? They could be, it's right above my head and it's noon. And so that's how the sun goes around. Now, what goes on out here? I couldn't tell you. The reflective properties of the outer world are that's God's kingdom. Let me just show you. This is a video I put up the other day, and then we'll wrap it up. I took this, you know, if we live in a dome sky, as the Bible says, Julio, and I had this thing here. I got my flashlight, and it made 2 suns in here. So I zoomed in, and I created this, and I'm circling it around. So here's somebody in the north, and the sun is circling in one clockwise direction. And here's somebody in the south, and it's going counterclockwise. And I don't believe these people can see that sun, and this person can see that sun. So there's a possibility that's more feasible than the helio-nonsensical helium and hydrogen space vacuum burning ball, which, you know, you can't have gas not contained, especially in a vacuum, right? If all the air disappeared outside my house and I opened the window, all the air would just leave my house instantly. It would equalize instantly. But for some reason in space, it doesn't do that.
That's true.
There you go.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it was very, very interesting interview we had today.
Yes, it was very interesting.
All right, flatearthdave.com.
Hey, everyone. If you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information. And the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. And let's make 2025 the year Flat Earth breaks free. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app or just refer the app to others and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.